What's up everybody, this is A7X Fan Ben with another fleet making video. This one is actually an idea from my friend Gazerbeam543 of the Discord server. It's based on the treasure trading ability and using it in conjunction with Sac. So basically, I've already made the fleet here. This is one of his variants of it. And we've got Neptune's Horde with a Sac captain, and then Helmsman, Explorer, 2 Oarsmen. So you can move out at SLS times 2 on the first turn, sacking the oarsman that takes up a space due to the no stacking rule. And then you're going to have 2 cargo spaces open. Once you flip the other oarsman, you'll have 2 spaces open for treasure. And SLS times 2 should be able to get you to a wild island. So generally this fleet's going to place islands kind of close together, probably 3L or 4L, just to make sure they can make it there. And then for the second ship, we've got the same concept, just without captain ability. So we've got Cassandra, Don Pedro Gilbert. So he's got Sac and treasure trading, all in the same crew for 5 points. And then we've got Helmsman, Explorer, and 2 Oarsmen as well, just like the other setup. So that's where it gets a little bit more modular, depending on what you want to do. So this is kind of like the default that I'm going with. It's slightly different than what Gazerbeam had. You can also do 2 or 3 oarsmen starting the game on the home island. So I've got one. It's not going to be on Jollymon. It's going to be starting the game on the home island, and then Jollymon is just there with the hag to give the +5. I've got the forts available, pirate forts, ready for building, and then it's got some negative UTs. So natives, missionary, and plague. Ideally, the treasure trading ships don't find more than one of these on the same island. If they just find one, they can trade it away. And one nice thing about that is you can choose the island this treasure is traded to. You don't choose which, you don't look at the treasures that you might be picking from, but you do at least get to pick the island. So you can actually throw one of these negative UTs right in front of the enemy fleet to make it more likely that they'll find a negative. So basically negatives to slow the enemy down. You can trade them away if you find them. And we've got 2 ships basically with good durability, solid speed, and good cargo to get as much treasure as fast as possible. So generally going to sack an oarsman to get to an island on the first turn. Cassandra can move up to 6S if she has a helmsman, and that should get her to an island pretty easily, because that'll get her at least like 4L away. In terms of like the island distances. So, and then generally load 2 or 3 coins per ship. Neptune's Horde will be able to load the best 2 from an island. Cassandra will be able to load the best 3. Once that second oarsman is gone, she'll have 3 cargo spaces open, and then they'll both basically sack an oarsman on the way back home. And then with those 5 best coins from 2 different islands, that could easily be enough to win. So especially because you're going to be 3s contributed here, at least by default. That kind of depends on if you think you know what the enemy fleet might contribute, but you probably won't. So I did a default of 5 3s for the non-UT coins, but you could mix that up if you wanted to. So I just did that for now. And you could try or mild negatives if this fleet does struggle to trade away enough negatives. Because like I said, if you get 2 negatives on one island, it could be pretty bad. So you could include more mild negatives if that happens. Something like wet gunpowder or rotting hull or whatever, things like that. Maybe even the rum UT, which is kind of a good and bad one, I guess, in a way, because it can slow you down but still be worth gold. So for terrain, I'd probably do Sargasso Seas if the enemy fleet has ships smaller than 4 masts. Because this one, Jollymon's just going to sit at home, so the 4 masters are going to be pretty decent against those Sargasso Sea terrain. And then Fog and Whirlpools might work. The Whirlpools could benefit this fleet, especially if you think it has a combat advantage, because then Neptune's Horde can go through a Whirlpool, sack on the other side for a move and shoot against an enemy target. So that could be pretty useful. But I would maybe not include Whirlpools if you see like a monster gunship it looks like it's going to get multiple actions, like some kind of Zeus sack setup or something like that. Then I would maybe not do whirlpools, just because you might not have the combat advantage there. So overall, it should be pretty good. And I think the +5 selection is where it gets quite interesting, because my default, I had the +5 selections being the helmsman on the Neptune's Horde, and then a pirate oarsman on the home island, the one you see on the Jollymon, and then either a helmsman for Cassandra or Hidden Cove. So it kind of just depends on the player order and the island setup. So if this fleet's going first and your opponent picks the last island where it goes, and it's 6L away from everything else, and then they choose that as this fleet's home island, you might want to do Hidden Cove on Cassandra. It's kind of debatable. 6S won't get her to that first island, but Hidden Cove would just jump the distance. Although that being said, if she doesn't have a helmsman, it would take her longer to get back, and then Neptune's Horde might struggle to get to a second wild island if she doesn't get coved out. So it's kind of debatable how to treat the +5, but overall it's flexible. So and yeah, like I said, the original version, 3 pirate oarsmen starting the game on the home island. So in a more casual game would be fine as well. And then of course divers maybe is an option depending on how it looks. So there is the potential to run out of sack fodder relatively quickly, because when these go out and come back, that would expend 4 oarsmen if you're trying to, you're trying to get goals as fast as possible. But the nice thing is you can sack the explorers, because I think in the most competitive games, this fleet is somewhat unlikely to go to the farthest wild islands, especially without Hidden Cove. So depending on the coin distribution and what you find early on, I think it's more likely that these ships are probably going to return to the islands they initially went to if there's still gold worth value there, because that way it'd be a quicker trip than going to new islands with less sack fodder. So in that case, you won't need the explorers, so you could sack those on the way out for a second trip, and then if you really need to, sack a helmsman on the way back. But the oarsman on the home island, ideally that would be picked up by the Neptune's Horde when she gets back home from her first trip, and then she would have 2 crew to sack on the second trip. That 3rd oarsman she'll have, and then the explorer as well. So she might be able to do 2 full trips, moving twice for each of 2 rounds. So, or 4 rounds total basically. So overall, it should be a pretty good fleet, and looking forward to playing it. It's in tournament number 3, so feel free to subscribe to see all the games for that. I'm going to be posting all the games that this fleet is involved in, and feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Love to hear your thoughts on the fleet. Thanks for Gazerbeam543 for giving me the idea and kind of alerting me to how good the treasure trading ability can be, even in competitive play. So looking forward to testing it out, and I'll see you in those games. Thanks for watching.